In this video we are going to tackle the garter rib stitch together. This is a twist on a classic 2x2 rib where instead of having a column of reverse stockinette that separates your stockinette columns, you have a column of garter stitch. This makes it a less stretchy rib stitch, so it's a better stitch if you're wanting something that is adding texture to a piece of larger work but you're wanting it to lay flatter than a traditional 2x2 rib does, because that has a tendency to pull inwards. And although I'm going to show it to you in a classic 2x2 formation, this is a great stitch for adjusting and playing with to get different types of texture, because you can adjust the widths of either the garter stripe or the stockinette stripe. A perfect example of that is my Stanley blanket, where I made the garter section slightly wider, so I just tinkered with the stitch so it still gives the same effect but with a slightly different texture. Garter rib stitch is not reversible. Anything with stockinette generally is not reversible, so if I flip my sample over, you can see that we have a really different texture on the reverse side of the work, but it doesn't look ugly. So any larger piece that you knit with garter rib stitch I really would class as reversible to a degree, in the fact that the back looks just as good as the front even though it looks different. Garter rib stitch is just a 2-row repeat, so this is going to be a nice short tutorial, so grab some yarn, grab your needles and let's get knitting. The pattern multiple for garter rib stitch is 4 plus 2, so that means you're going to cast on a number that's a multiple of 4, for instance 16 stitches, and then you're going to add 2 additional stitches on at the end, and that gives us a symmetrical pattern on either end of our work. I'm just going to cast on a very small sample today, but you can cast on as many or as few stitches as you like. And as always, I'm using the long tail cast on method, but again, you can use whichever cast on method you feel most comfortable with. Row 1 of our 2-row repeat goes as follows. You are going to knit the first 2 stitches. And then you're going to work a 4-stitch repeat all the way across until the end of your row, and that 4-stitch repeat is as follows. You are going to purl 2, and then you're going to knit 2. So it's purl 2, knit 2 all the way to the end of your row, and if you've counted your stitches correctly you should end with a knit 2. Your even numbered rows will always have the right side facing you, so we call those right side rows, and they are really nice and easy. So for row 2 of our 2-row repeat, you are just going to work your way across and knit every single stitch. Let's go over that 2-row repeat once more. So row 1 of your 2-row repeat will have the wrong side of your work facing you, and you're going to start your row by knitting the first 2 stitches. Then you're going to jump into a 4-stitch repeat that you're going to repeat until the end of the row, and that 4-stitch repeat goes as follows. You are going to purl 2 and then knit 2. So you're going to repeat that combination of purl 2 and knit 2 all the way across your row until the end of the row, and if you count your stitches correctly you should end on a knit 2. So you should start the row on a knit 2 and end the row on a knit 2. Row 2, the second of our 2-row repeat, is very simple. You're going to work your way all the way across the row and you're going to knit every single stitch all the way across. There are no different stitches in row 2, they are all knit stitches. So you would now go away and work your 2 rows as many times as you need to until you're happy with the size of your project, and then when it comes to casting off, you want to cast off knitwise on a row 2. So you want to cast off knitwise with the right side facing you, because then you will get this smooth edge of your cast on and off both on the same side, so the top and bottom match. Just a couple of final bits and bobs before I go. A lot of patterns and tutorials for this stitch will have this stockinette stripe at the very edge of your work. So you would start and end your work with a stockinette column. I find that that makes your work curl inwards, as stockinette has a tendency to do. So what I've done for this tutorial is started and ended with a garter stitch column rather than giving instructions on how to add a selvage. However, I know that some of you will be wanting to incorporate this stitch pattern into a larger piece of work and would therefore want to start and end with the stockinette column. So on my blog with the written pattern, I have given an alternative row 2 for those of you that would like to have the stockinette at either edge instead of the garter stitch. It's a very simple change, but I've left all the instructions on my blog for you. Before I go, I'm going to leave you with another project that might inspire you, but that is all from me for this tutorial.